Welcome to part 2 of the Nintendo Championship Qualifier Recap. If you missed part 1, I'll link it at the top of the description so you can get filled in on how that first event went. Let's begin to cover event number 2. This top 16 had some familiar faces from the previous event, and some new ones. Some of the teams included Crush Soda, Cherry Limeade, Sonder, Ink Red Sun, Last Resort, and Nightmare. One of the top 16 teams was actually my pickup team, Glitch Calamity Forge Neo. How did we do? Well, spoilers, we got knocked out immediately. This bracket didn't go how anyone could have expected, which made this such an insane second event. From the beginning, many expected teams such as Crush Soda, Last Resort, Duck Gang, and potentially Nightmare or Set to Destroy X to make the top 4 due to how strong they are in the competitive scene being top level teams and how well they placed in the first event. I'd like to quickly explain what I mean when I say top level. In the competitive community of Splatoon, skill is broken down in a few ways, one of which being level. You have low level, mid level, and top level. Top level is for teams who consistently win or place very high repeatedly in tournaments. Tournaments such as Nintendo Qualifiers or Championships, Swimmer Sync, Squid Junction, Proving Grounds, and a few other tournaments ran by the community. Top level teams are some of the best that our community has to offer. Now let's jump back into the video. In a surprise twist, the top 4 teams to make it were Crush Soda, Duck Gang, Ink Red Sun, and Sonder. Let's break down this top 4. Duck Gang returns once again in an attempt to take a qualifier spot after losing to Last Resort and Jackpot. To recap Duck Gang from the first event, their roster this time consisted of Red Shell, Drifty, Enry, Zenith, and a few others according to their Battlefy roster. Duck Gang, otherwise known as Tempest, a previously disbanded team, is a high-level team that shocked many viewers the first weekend. The main factor was the team name they went with, Duck Gang, but a more in-depth look into the individual players shows that they are very skilled players. This week they beat out some tough teams, the most notable being Set to Destroy X, a high-level pickup team made of some of the best players in the eastern states. Crush Soda is a top-level team recently formed this year. Their roster for this event consisted of Twig, Wave, Taco, Wally, Goss, and Thunder, according to their Battlefy roster. This team overall is very powerful, especially with the addition of Twig. For those who never checked the Splatoon app on your phone, Twig is the solo queue player. Twig has placed first in every mode in the western region, which is highly impressive. This team is without a doubt a high contender. Now we go into 2 teams no one was expecting to make it to the top 4. Ink Red Sun is a high-level competitive team with a roster of Krim, Admir, Nico, Beam, and Kite, according to the Battlefy roster. This team is very strong, having beaten out both Nightmare and Last Resort, 2 top-level teams that were expected to place the top 4 in this tournament. Also, if you're wondering what the Ink means in their team name, Red Sun is one of the first Splatoon teams to get sponsored for Splatoon 3. They are a sponsored team by In Control Nation, a gaming organization, similar to FaZe or Moist, but on a smaller scale. Lastly, we have Sonder. Sonder is a high-level competitive team made up of Henlo, Birch, Scrub, Toast, and Shy, according to the Battlefy roster. Sonder has had some very impressive runs in other tournaments. You may have seen them take 3rd place at Low Tide City back in May of this year. They earned this top 4 spot without a doubt, beating teams like Mid-Clan Heroes and Bet, 2 other very good high-level teams. So there's our top 4. How did they do? First match was Crush Soda versus Duck Gang. Crush Soda swept Duck Gang in a 3-0 fashion, although it's safe to say not everyone was happy with the way it happened. You see, the second game towards the 1-minute mark, Duck Gang had an unfortunate disconnect. And according to Nintendo's rules and disconnects, if it occurs within the first 5 seconds of the game, you are allowed to redo the game. However, if it occurs after the first 5 seconds of the match, you must continue the game in a 3 versus 4 fashion. This happened again in Game 3, where after 7 seconds, Duck Gang had another disconnect. You see how the players stopped moving? They were about to reset for a replay but remembered the rules and had to finish it. The reason for the disconnects was due to a player on Duck Gang going through some thunderstorms at the time, and it disconnected them. Who would have thought Mother Nature wouldn't be on your side? For anyone curious about DC rules in community tournaments like Low Ink, Swimmer Sync, From the Ink Up, etc., the community has universally agreed to a much better DC rule set where if the disconnect happens before more than 50 points are scored or before 2 minutes and 30 seconds left on the clock, a replay of the match is allowed. Players are so used to that rule set, it's confusing at first what to do when a disconnect happens in an official Nintendo tournament, mainly because of how different Nintendo's rules are. With Crush Soda moving on to finals, the next match was Red Sun versus Sonder. It was very well fought match between these two teams, but Red Sun was able to take a set 3-1, moving on to finals to go up against Crush Soda. Crush Soda versus Red Sun was very one-sided, with Crush Soda dominating the set, taking a 3-0 and taking the first qualifier spot. With only one spot remaining, 3 teams have one opportunity. Sonder versus Duck Gang losers semis, and Duck Gang finally having stormed past and quacked their victory 3-1, moving to losers finals to go up against Red Sun, leaving Sonder 4th place in the event. Congratulations to them, they fought very hard and it's a really great result to have. Final round, Duck Gang versus Red Sun. While Red Sun was able to put up a good fight, it was Duck Gang able to take the win 3-1 and take the last qualifier spot. Incredible job done by Red Sun making it so far, and again, 3rd place in an official Nintendo tournament is an incredible result. Congratulations to all the teams that qualified. This was a very tough qualifier with many great teams entering. If you yourself want to try and enter in one of these tournaments yourself, I'll leave a link to the official Splatoon 3 Discord in the description, as well as my video on how to get into competitive. There I also have tons of information on what to join and how getting on a competitive team works. Thank you all for watching this video. If you enjoyed, please consider subscribing, and I'll see all of you in the next one.